Not the kind of scream that came from excitement or joy, but the kind that cut through the hallway like a blade. Sharp. Sudden. Painful. It echoed off the lockers of Jefferson High like a siren in a storm, grabbing everyone's attention, including the attention of the two boys who had been trying to disappear into the crowd since day one. Jake and Ryan Carter were identical twins. White, skinny, quiet, and always dressed in oversized hoodies that made them look smaller than they were. They were the kind of kids most people overlooked. No one knew much about them, except that they had transferred mid-year, moved from some small town up north, and lived with their grandmother on the edge of the city. And in high school, when you're quiet and unknown, you become a target. Especially when you're the new kids. Especially when you don't fight back. Especially when you look weak. The school bully saw that. And they pounced. It began slowly. A shove in the hallway. A textbook knocked out of Ryan's hands. A cruel name muttered just loud enough for others to hear, followed by laughter. Jake tried to ignore it, often pulling his brother away, whispering, "Not worth it, man. Let it go." But bullies don't stop when they sense fear. They thrive on it. Day after day, the twins became the punchline. Not because they did anything wrong, but because they were easy. Harmless. Or so it seemed. What no one knew, not even their teachers, not even their grandmother, was that Jake and Ryan had been training in Krav Maga since they were 9. Not for fun. Not for medals. For survival. Their father had been a soldier. Special forces. The kind of men who had scars deeper than flesh. After he returned from deployment, he taught his boys everything he knew. How to defend. How to strike. How to end a fight before it ever truly began. His lesson was simple: don't start the war. But if it comes to your doorstep, finish it. They trained in the woods. In silence. In sweat. Sometimes in pain. Not to become violent, but to never be victims. But that was a life they left behind when he died. A life buried beneath grief and loss and the move to Jefferson High. They didn't want to fight anymore. They wanted peace. The bullies didn't care. One Friday afternoon, as the final bell rang, the twins walked through the back alley shortcut to get home faster. It was narrow. Isolated. And waiting for them, 5 guys. All bigger. All laughing. "You lost, twins," said Troy, the ringleader. Built like a linebacker, with fists like bricks and a cruel grin to match. Ryan stepped back. Jake stepped in front of him. "We're just going home," Jake said, calmly. "No. You're gonna learn a lesson first." That's when the scream came. It wasn't from the twins. It was from one of the bullies. In a flash, it all changed. Troy reached out, and his wrist snapped back with a crack. Another came swinging, a high kick to his knee dropped him instantly. The third ran at Ryan, and was met with a strike so fast, so precise, he dropped without a sound. 2 more froze, eyes wide. They'd seen fights before. But never like this. These weren't just punches. These were calculated. Controlled. Bone-breaking moves. Jake and Ryan didn't yell. They didn't boast. They didn't rage. They moved like shadows, precise, powerful, and silent. In less than a minute, it was over. 5 bullies on the ground. 2 quiet twins walking away. The video hit the school group chat that evening. Someone had been recording from the roof. By Monday, Jake and Ryan were legends. Not because they fought, but because they ended a fight they never wanted. But the twins didn't smile at the fame. They didn't gloat. When a teacher asked what happened, Ryan simply said, "They picked the wrong day." Later that week, one of the bullies, the one who hadn't gotten hit, found them at lunch. He didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He just stood there, hands shaking. "I'm sorry," he muttered. "We didn't know." Jake looked up, his eyes calm. "That's the problem. You never ask. You assume people are weak just because they're kind." That moment changed the school. The twins became known not as fighters, but as examples. People started thinking before speaking. Started apologizing more. Listening more. Even the bullies, well, former bullies, changed. Not because they were scared, but because they'd seen something they couldn't forget. Strength isn't loud. Strength is controlled. In time, Jake and Ryan opened a self-defense club after school, not for popularity, not for attention, but for the quiet ones like them. The ones who walked alone. The ones who never hit back. They taught not just how to fight, but when to fight. And most importantly, when not to. The strongest people, they said, are the ones who carry pain with grace and still choose peace, until peace is no longer an option. Their story wasn't about violence. It was about choice. About discipline. About knowing who you are, so no one can tell you who to be. And from that alley, that scream, and that fight, they didn't just break bones. They broke a cycle.